the idea of wearing green and gold goes back quite a long way, and not just to 1878, obviously, where it was the colours of Newton Heath, the predecessor of United. But I remember back in 2005, after the takeover, there was an element, or certainly a suggestion, that people might wear the Newton Heath kit as a kind of form of protest. And I remember at the time we actually had some ideas drafted up with you know, a kind of a different alternative sponsor, or even just Must or United written across the kit. But I don't think it really took off at the time, and so you know, it wasn't kind of a new idea totally when it was suggested more recently. But I think the genius of it was just the timing of it was just perfect, really, and that's always the thing with any idea, is it's got to come at the right time. I think in the last week, the Red Knights group have released a statement effectively saying that they're not going to make a move in terms of a bid before the end of the season. And obviously that's quite useful to understand the timing of these things, because there was a lot of discussion about, you know, would people want to boycott, and, you know, in order to persuade the Glaziers to take an offer and so on. And so I think now that we know that's not going to happen before the end of the season, it means two things. It means that we can carry on building, knowing that there's not going to be anything immediately in the offing. And obviously it also means that from the point of view of the football on the pitch, people can get on with supporting the club and not feel that there's a disruption there. And so really I think it's about growing the campaign, continuing to do that. We know we've got until the end of the season, and obviously every match day is a kind of a special moment where you can reach out to match-going supporters. And I think it also, every time you see the coverage of a match on TV, it's kind of sending a signal to every United fan around the world when they watch the pictures and they see the crowd in the stadium. That's really caused this sort of viral spread of the green and gold idea. And for people who weren't aware of what it was about, they're asking questions, and it's getting the whole thing talked about. Why do we need a change of ownership, and what would be replacing the current owners? Would it be better than what we've got, really?
About the green and gold campaign, because basically the Glaziers are just raping the club of money, and really the fans should be owning the club like Barcelona do. End of story.
So you're behind the green and gold campaign?
Indeed, 100%.
Yeah, you see your supporting staff out there. Yeah. so you think ownership by the fans is a system that can work?
Definitely could work.
Yeah,
definitely. Because another team follows Brentford, and they've got a home. They owned by the fans as well, so it's working well. So
some of the major clubs in Europe as well are owned by the fans, aren't they?
Best way to be, definitely.
Yeah. In terms of the structure that any sort of Red Knight bid would take, I mean, that is actually still under debate, but the essential idea is that the wealthy individuals who are putting this together are doing it for a kind of philanthropic reason. They are not looking at it as primarily an investment, and that has been explained to everybody who's come forward to suggest they might be interested. And if that's what they're interested in, then there are plenty of other investments out there that will give them a better return than putting it into Manchester United. So we're fairly confident that the people are doing this for the right reason. And for me and for our organisation, it's not about us saying that we're going to try and rubber stamp a Red Knights takeover, if you like, or give it some kind of stamp of approval. We actually see it as they are giving supporters an opportunity to share in the ownership. They're not talking about taking over the club and the supporters not having any ownership stake in it. They're actually effectively saying, we want supporters to invest in the club, and the more the better, actually. And for us, that's very important, that supporters have an opportunity to invest themselves, but also that they have an opportunity to increase their stake over a period of time. By sharing ownership of the club, everybody who feels they own a stake in the club, I think that actually gives them a completely different relationship with the club. Absolutely. And so I think they're much more likely to then want to interact in a commercial way, if you like, with the club, which is good for the club, because they feel it's theirs, it's part of theirs. And they also feel when they spend money on the club, they're spending it on their club, but it's actually going to the club rather than feeling like it's going to somebody who's bought the club in order to extract money from supporters. Yeah.
If the possibility came about that you could actually invest and buy shares in the club, would that be something that interested you?
If I had money, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's a possibility that they would look for all sorts of fans to make small donations, maybe £100. Is that something that would interest you?
Yes, it would, definitely.
Okay.
I think, the way our club is run is the priority, to be honest. Rather than our success, obviously, we want to know behind closed doors that our club's been run by proper people. We've got the club not in debt. We're keeping the books balanced, and well, yeah, it definitely would.
In terms of the Red Knights making an offer, because obviously I can't really say how far we are in terms of whether the Glazers will accept it at this stage, but I would say we're over 50% of the way in terms of making an offer, and I do believe it will happen. I do believe the offer will happen, because I think the people who've made a public commitment to it wouldn't have done that if they weren't determined to follow it through, and they are people who are, you know, sort of renowned city figures and business people who wouldn't normally make any kind of public commitment if they weren't going to do that. You know, they're committed individuals, I think.
This club is successful because for 40 years it's played well on the field. If you look at Manchester United, since the 60s it's played well. It's you know, accrued money because it's been good on the field. That is how football works. It doesn't work by just turning up and kind of investing money or taking money out of the club. Man United is successful because it is successful on the field. And I think if you look at the Red Knights, they recognise the fact that football is something that perpetuates itself. If you play well, you earn money. The Glaziers bought a club that had played well, and they cynically bought it to try and make money. That's not how it works. If you ask anybody in football, if you want to make $1 million out of football, start off a billionaire. That's how it works. You're always going to lose money. Most people own a football club because of altruistic reasons, not to make money. And I think the Glazers got that badly wrong, and also I think they bit off more than they could chew. If you see the amount of people who are sporting the green and gold scarves, they're not going to sit there and just take it from the Glazers. They're going to turn around and say, no, actually, you know, we're actually going to stand up to you and say, no, this is our club based in Salford. It's not about you guys making money, coming over and cynically spotting an opportunity to you know, increase your own personal wealth.
Obviously, a lot of supporters have kind of discussed this idea about whether they'd you know, consider not renewing in order to, you know, persuade the Glazers to take the offer on the table, if you like. And I think that the only way that's likely to work is two things you need, really. First of all, you do need an offer on the table that's a credible offer, so that people can see what the point is of taking such an action. And secondly, I think you need a really significant number of people who'd be prepared to do that. And that's really what we're trying to find out at the moment. You know, I mean, obviously we're trying to grow the size of our database in terms of particularly of season ticket holders at the moment. I mean, there's 150,000 members, but only a small proportion of those are season ticket holders.
Are you a season ticket holder at the moment? So are you gonna keep your season ticket or give it up?
Don't know yet.
You're still
Don't
deciding?
Know. Yeah.
Hard
just
decision?
Yeah, big decision.
I've only stopped the season ticket prices, put them on freeze because people are going to give them back. All my mates are giving them back and it hurts. It hurts them like giving them back, but mine's gone up 300 quid since it took over. You know, and it's taking the lads to every game, so they do.
Absolutely.
Just want stability in the club, and obviously it makes matters worse with what's happening at City. They've got the tons of money and we've got no money, but we'll just wait and see.